Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Ancient Voice Rising. I am your host, Hera Dyani. Welcome to the show. Today we have on Mariel Martin. We had her on in the past, talking about how the palm reading. And this time we're going to talk about from Miss Mariel's perspective, how she goes about cleansing and clearing homes and land and energy fields. And maybe you could gain a perspective on that. We all have our ways of doing things. And the one thing that you can do for this show, for my dream, and for the guests coming on is subscribe, like, share, and hit the notification bell. You're not going to want to miss this one. Miss Mariel Martin is one of a kind. She's a psychic medium. She is world renowned, best-selling author. She has a school that teaches art healing. She works with the archangels and is such a gifted and wonderful woman. I hope you enjoyed this show. Thank you. Hello, Miss Mariel. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm
Good.
happy to be with you today on your podcast.
Thank you, and welcome back to Ancient Voice Rising. I'm excited about today. We are going to talk about cleansing and clearing homes and land and energy fields because there's so much. We have to do separate podcasts with you because there's so many different subjects that we can cover. Um,
Yes.
so where would you like to begin? Because you know me, I don't have particular questions that I ask in a row. I bounce off the energy. So
Okay.
where would you like to begin?
Well, I'll just mention that I'm a natural born clairvoyant.
Okay.
And part of what comes with that is that I also am a master palmist. I have also been called on to clear out spaces of ghosts because I do see spirits. I also see angels and auras.
Okay.
And what I've noticed is that actually there's lots of ghosts wandering around.
Mm,
Sometimes they're just quiet in the background and they're just, you wouldn't even know they're there necessarily. And other times they're really a nuisance or even malicious. And I've worked with all kinds. So I'm
mm.
happy to share with you today some of the things you can do if you're having a spirit in your space that you don't want there.
I com I get that. I understand that. So what is okay. Would you like to maybe start off why spirit decides to hang out in the background or sometimes show themselves?
Yes. So basically, here's a thing I would share also as a medium who talks to people on the other side.
Hmm.
A lot of times, and I recently had the situation I'll just mention where a dear friend of mine passed away. He wasn't really wanting to go. He
Okay.
kept saying, I'm going to pull through somehow. And he was optimistic about that. However, his body gave out on him. So a lot of times when people are haunting places, and I call it haunting because that's the situations where they're being a nuisance. And they do that because they don't want to be gone. Sometimes there's even unfinished business, like in the case, let's say, where a murder happened. A
Hmm.
lot of times the murder victim is trying to reach people they know to get the person that caused the problem to be caught and put in jail. Other times they are wandering around for unfinished business. In other words, other things that they wish they had completed, and they're trying to do it while they're in spirit form, which is usually not going to be very effective. And other people that I have talked to in spirit form are wandering around as ghosts because they never crossed over.
Yeah.
Now, this is a thing that has upset people in my family when I let them know that a family member was not crossing over because they were afraid of, and they told me they weren't crossing over because they were afraid of going to hell for the bad things they had done.
Hmm.
So it can be fear that keeps a deceased person trapped here, or the other thing is, again, they're trying to help somebody. Um, and again, if you go back to even the case of murder, sometimes they're hanging around to protect their loved ones from the same person that caused the harm. And other times they're just lonely spirits that miss being here. Because even with life having its challenges, life is a gift.
Yes.
And some of the spirits miss it and they come back, especially if like they were living in a house a long time. I can share with you a story later about a haunted house I cleared out where the mother didn't want to give up her space. And she had her 7 children in the house, home births. And she felt the house was hers forever and nobody should live there and take over her space.
Hmm.
So there's all different reasons, but there always is a reason. And I will just say part of the reason that it's good to call in a medium like me is I can tell you, usually after talking with them, why they're hanging around so that you can help, so that we together can help them be gone where they need to go.
Okay. So it's not a fighting them. It's actually for their benefit, it's to help them know that it's okay to let go and to move on to the other side is what you're saying is to not fear, is to let go of that fear of
Exactly.
moving into to where their next evolution is.
Yeah. Because again, the other thing is there's always the fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
So even if, let's
Mhm.
say, someone passes away and they're just unsure of what's coming next, they may choose not to cross over. But usually I find that happens with people who died suddenly,
Yeah.
like they weren't prepared for the
Mm-hmm.
transition.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. Interesting. All right. So will you share the story of a story of uh, what you've done, a clearing or a crossing or
Sure, I've done many of them. The one I was referring to earlier was the person who's had was living in 100-year-old house,
okay.
and they bought it from the son who lived next door. And this is quite the story because when I got the call, they let me know that the spirit was raising up the vacuum cleaner and throwing it at them.
Oh wow.
We're talking a very malicious mother who had her 7 children in the house and was very possessive of the property. She also was throwing glasses at them. Uh, when they would go out somewhere to an outing, the husband, the wife, and the children, she would lock the door so they couldn't get back in, and she
Wow.
would change the lock.
That takes a lot of energy for a spirit to do.
Yes, it is. And a lot of people aren't aware the spirits can do that. She would also, they would open a window, she would shut the window. Um, So when I went there to talk to see what was going on and to talk to her, she was so angry I was there. She punched me in the stomach.
Oh my goodness. Mm,
She was attacking me, like, get out of here. This is mine. I told her to stop, that she wasn't going to scare me off. And then I sat down on the floor, got into a deep trance, and asked her to tell me what was going on.
hmm
That's when she told me about that her name was Mrs. Weber and that she had had her 7 children there, who most of them lived still in the neighborhood. And she wanted to live there so that she could keep visiting them, even if they weren't in the house. In
Yeah.
other words, she would cross the street and go to her daughter's house, her son's house, her other children's houses. And to her, that was preferred over crossing into the light.
Okay.
When I convinced her that it actually was very loving to cross over into the light and that she was going to get to see her loved ones who were already there and waiting for her,
hmm
managed to convince her to go. And I will tell you, after that long day of negotiating with her, because that's what it took, um, she did cross over into the light and appeared like a starburst kind of form when
Oh
she
wow.
left.
Mm.
I also found out on that particular property that it had quickly been sold by the son next door every year and a half because the mother ghost had scared everybody off, and the
Yeah.
son would keep the deposit, and so he was very dishonestly benefiting.
Oh, so he knew.
He knew,
Oh,
and the people would complain, and nobody knew what to do about it until I got a call and I went in to help and clear her so she could be in the light instead of haunting people.
so you shut a scamming down too.
Yeah, and I told the son, you won't be getting to do that dishonest practice anymore. Your mother is not there anymore. I sent her into the light, and don't pull that stuff on people anymore because it's not going to work. And which he stood
Oh,
there with his mouth open and
yeah,
didn't
I was
say a
gonna say,
word.
how did he respond?
Yeah, it was a dishonest thing on his part to take advantage of people. That 3 people lost their deposit.
Mm,
And then we're out of a home.
mm,
So there are good reasons to have houses cleared because not only can they do things like throw things at people, but they also, lots of times, spirits will steal things. Like if you have your favorite earrings and you put them on the nightstand and the next morning you wake up and you go, I know I put them there.
mhm.
You could have a spirit in your house that's taking things they like.
Yes, I've had that happen a long time ago when I first accepted my gifts. I had to go through the slamming doors, the circling of the bed, the hearing the voices, um, finding missing things, learning to open and close portals. Um, on in the rental home that we were in, it
Oh,
it was um, it was terrifying. But once I learned to recognize what was happening,
uh-huh.
then I figured out, you know, how to speak to them. That's how I learned how to step into the similar gifts that you have.
Good.
Um,
Because people need to know we're here to help.
yeah. So, what is your process of, excuse me, of doing that? And that's funny because this is interesting. I have a battery pack that I carry in my pocketbook. So when I'm out on the road and I'm using my GPS, um, my battery pack, um, I can plug my phone in to recharge my phone because the chargers in my car don't work. Where you
Okay.
can plug in usually you can just plug it into the car. Well, they don't work anymore. So I had a battery pack and it was like this. I had to get a new one, but it was silver and big, and now it's gone and it's nowhere to be found.
Hmm.
It's like we've seen it somewhere, but now we just can't remember where it is. And the other day I had my light flicker. I was also doing energy work though. So how I know what my process is, but what is your process? Like to explain to the viewers, like when this stuff starts happening, like the earrings off of like we've experienced all of that in the past, my daughter
Right.
included. Um, what is your process of handling that?
Yeah. Well, first of all, to recognize that you have an unwanted visitor.
Yeah, we
And
have.
and here's the other thing I would say. All of the places I worked on got clear except for one. And the reason was that I am sure of is the woman was very compassionate toward the ghost.
Mm,
And she didn't realize it was a young girl who had, had a tragic sudden accident. And she didn't, and I kept telling her, you have to let the ghost go. You can't
mhm.
say, "Oh, poor thing, I feel sorry for you. Oh, make yourself at home and expect that I can clear them out." If you're putting that kind of energy into the ghosts, they're going to stay no matter what I do. And you want to be ready to have them be gone when you're having your house clear. And side note, I noticed there are people hiring priests
Mm.
uh, to come out and clear the house. Those people don't really have the training. They're not a medium.
Yeah,
You want to contact a medium, not a priest.
we couldn't get one to come. We called several because at that time I didn't know how to do I didn't know how to do it. And we couldn't
Right.
get a priest to come in our house.
Yeah. Well, sometimes they will if you just tell them you want them to bless the house,
Hmm.
but they're not going to clear it.
Yeah.
They're not into working with clearing houses. That's kind of a specialized thing. So when I talk about methods, first of all, you have to be sure you want them gone, and you have to communicate that. And the first thing you can do is to say, "I want you to get out," and just yell at the ghost, "Get out of my house," and be very emphatic about it.
Doesn't that make them
Sometimes,
angry?
sometimes that can work.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you have enough authority and you truly believe it, I believe that it can. Because if you believe in the authority of your being, of your spirit,
Uh-huh.
and I believe that that could work. Yeah. Um,
So it
what
first
about
takes
the back?
intention, I would say. And then after that, the other things I recommend people do on their own if they want to see if they can clear it, because I do charge for coming out to a house, and not
Mhm.
everybody wants to pay it. Um, which I understand. They're already struggling with the idea that a ghost is there, and to give money for it to be gone is kind of beyond their comfort zone.
Mm,
So what they can do beside yelling at the ghost to be gone is to put salt lamps, first of all, is what I recommend. For some reason, spirits do not like salt.
mm,
And if you don't have a salt lamp, you can initially put out a bowl of kosher salt put it by your bed. Sometimes that's all it takes to keep them gone.
Mm,
The other thing you can do is I got this candle I bought on Amazon actually, and I gave it to someone who was having troubles in their house. And it worked because it's a very strong lemony smell
hmm.
that when you light it, it fills up the room with the smell of lemon. And
Yeah.
spirits don't like that either.
Yeah.
Okay, so whether you get a big candle like this or a smaller one like this, what matters is that it's a very strong scent that would fill up the space and make the spirit want to leave.
So why lemon? I mean, I get it. For the viewers, why lemon?
Um, I don't have an answer for that.
Okay.
I just know that they don't like it.
Okay.
Okay, so
Okay.
it can, I suppose it could be some other strong scent. It's just that I found lemon to be the most effective.
Okay. All right. What about
You know,
crystal?
citronella, by the way, the other name is goes by is citronella.
Oh, okay. So
Citronella
like
candles,
you
which
use
are used to repel bugs, also
outside.
repel spirits.
Yeah. So what about crystals? Would you suggest I keep selenite in all of my important parts of my home.
Yeah, selenite is and a unique crystal. That's a good idea. Selenite is the only crystal, by the way, that you don't have to cleanse.
Yeah.
Selenite is a self-cleansing crystal.
Hmm.
However, I have not found it effective in getting ghosts gone.
Mm.
I found it effective in keeping your energy space nice and nicer and feeling clearer,
Hmm.
but I have not found it keeps ghosts away.
Okay.
Side note, by the way, I recently went on vacation last month to California.
Okay.
And the odd thing that happened is we checked into this nice hotel. It was a suite. You got a whole suite when you rented a place there. And my room was haunted.
Oh, oh goodness.
Oh, yeah. And it was definitely obvious to me who knows about that because here's what happened. Here I am in my suite, which was a nice kitchen suite. And at the end of the day, I was just hopping into bed. And I got into bed, pulled the covers over me, and was just, getting ready to doze off when the bed started shaking violently, like it was in the middle of an earthquake. So the spirit, and they do this. They have done this at other places I've cleared. Is they come in and they rock the bed to where you're just really on an intense vibration, again like an earthquake.
Mm.
And I told the ghost to stop. I looked around the room, by the way, and one of the reasons I knew it wasn't a California earthquake is nothing else in the room was shaking.
Mm.
It
Interesting.
was only the bed. So, um, so that was a situation where I didn't feel it was my responsibility to clear the room. I told the front desk and I had them move me to another room. Now, there are, if you look online, there are actually haunted hotels that charge for you to come visit their ghosts.
Yeah.
But this hotel did not want this ghost there.
So
I
did they
told
have
them,
you get did they ask you to get rid of it?
no.
Oh.
They were very skeptical. They thought I was losing my mind. Believe me, you know when you're lying in the bed and the bed is shaking violently that it's not your imagination.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
And the other thing is, I've seen this happen at other places where people used Ouija boards.
Mm. Opening
So
portals.
Ouija boards is not a good thing to do because it can open a portal. And the biggest clearing I ever had to do was a couple that kept using the Ouija board until they let everything through the portal that was violently attacking them.
Oh my goodness.
They would get in bed, the bed would shake just like I experienced at the hotel, and the ghosts would pull on the covers and pull on their hair and just
Wow.
absolutely bug them so they couldn't sleep. But again, that's the danger you risk if you use a Ouija board. I tell people don't go anywhere near one.
I don't use them, never have.
Yeah, they're really not a toy and they're not
Why
to
go
be
there?
messed with.
Just why go there? If you don't know what you're doing, why go there?
Well, people get curious and the thing is there's just some things that you shouldn't be messing around with.
Yeah. Mm.
Another woman came into my office who was possessed, and guess what? They were playing with black magic. So black magic can bring a lot of bad effects. Um, and so sometimes the places that get haunted or have nothing to do with anything you did, and sometimes people bring it on themselves.
So, question, when you were in the hotel, did the spirit follow you to the next
No,
room? I
no,
wonder why it was just that room.
it was just that room. And you know, it's funny because that's what my friend asked who was traveling with me. She said, maybe it followed you. I said, no, I would have felt it. It just showed up when I was in the room.
So, how are some ways for people to identify that they have spirits in their dwellings
Well,
that
lots
are
of ways.
that are not that are let's go with um the non-violent.
Okay. Well,
Let's
first of all, people hear footsteps a lot of times.
mhm,
Like if one house I cleared in particular was an older home with creaky steps because it was made out of wood and they were rather old steps. And so when they would, be at home, they would hear someone walk down the steps. And it happened over and over again. And we found out it was the ghost of the person who used to live in the house and missed their house.
mm.
They were not malicious. They weren't throwing things. They weren't stealing things. They just wanted to hang out.
So do you have some so we were going through some practical tips to help
Uh-huh.
um and you brought up salt lamps and then lemon candles, very um, prominent smelling lemon candles.
Right.
Uh,
Citronella.
citronella,
Mm-hmm.
citronella. What are some other options that some people can take if they're experiencing some unwanted energy in their home or in their place of living?
Well, first of all, the salt lamps is a good thing to put around the house. I personally have three of them here because when I'm in my house, it's my place of peace and quiet. And the
Mm,
last thing I want to be doing is dealing with spirits. Um, Otherwise, the other thing people often do, beside the selenite, which is a nice way to keep your space having good, clean energy,
hmm
is people also um, will put other crystals, but I have to caution you. If you're putting quartz crystals in a haunted room, you're amplifying it.
hmm
Quartz is an amplifier. So I tell people put the quartz crystals away. Um, and again, get out the salt. Even if it's salt spray, you can mix kosher salt and water and spray it in all of the rooms. That also is a good way to help them be gone.
Okay. Hmm.
And I always, when I'm clearing a space, I always have a blessing, I say, which is like out with the old, in with the new,
Hmm.
bringing lots of love in here too.
Okay.
Or I'll say out with the old, in with the new. Jesus loves you, and this house is filled with love. The thing is that the ghosts hear you. They absolutely are hearing everything you talk about, everything you say, you do. People have asked me, well, what about sage? And what I have found over the years, because I've been doing this like 40 years, is that sage is good for clearing negativity. Like if you're having arguments in the house, you should sage your
Emotional.
house.
Hmm.
But sage doesn't deter ghosts, it
No.
just doesn't. It's a Native American tradition that is very good for clearing out what is negative energy, but not necessarily uh, haunting.
Yeah, I have found that with sage and Palo Santos, um, that you can go around your home and you can bang on the walls to loosen the energy, and then you can
Hmm.
come through with the sage or the Palo Santos to clear the emotional, um, that the emotions that have been going on that may be deemed
Correct.
negative, or something like it to that effect. Um, but it does not, and I've said this years ago, so I'm going to agree with you on this part that it does not remove entities.
Correct.
Entities is a whole different ballgame.
Right.
Yeah.
And that even includes entities that attach to people and suck out their energy.
Mm.
Okay. But
So
sage will
let's.
not help with that. I've been to a couple of healing circles where they smudge everybody with sage. I don't think that does much of anything. I think sage is for clearing out a space and bringing in the positive energy that is in that room.
So would you burn something with the sage to bring in the positivity? Because if you're taking something out, you need to put something back in.
I don't do sage to bring in the positivity. I
No, I mean,
pray.
would you would you maybe burn something else with the sage or light a candle that would symbolize positivity as you're going and clearing the emotional energetics of the home or the land? Would you add something that's amplifying positivity as you're clearing out the negative energy?
I don't personally. No,
Okay.
if I'm focused on clearing out negative energy, sage is what is
Okay.
enough.
Okay.
I don't do several stages of burning things. I feel sage clears negativity just fine on its own.
Okay.
But again, it won't get ghosts gone. However, it will start to bring in the positivity that you want in your home. And that will also make it a little perhaps more uncomfortable for negative things to happen overall. But the thing is that I don't go on and on with sage and candles and
Yeah.
whatever else. I pick a method and I stick with that.
Okay. Do you bring in, you've mentioned in the past that you work with archangels. Do you bring them in to assist you with crossing the spirits and cleansing homes and land?
Well, I'm always doing a blessing. So,
Okay.
and the angels are always with us. They're always
Yes.
with us. So I don't have to bring them in.
Well,
Um,
I mean, invite them to assist in what you're doing.
oh, I see. Well, I think that happens automatically.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have to call on them. They're going to be there anyway.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, because the thing is, when you know, first of all, the presence of the divine that is with us all the time, you know that they have your back.
Mhm.
And this is things I'm finding more and more in talking to people. It's a lot of people are not aware that the angels are with them.
Mm.
They think, oh, that's like some kind of fairy tale. Well, I see angels walking next to people. I actually physically get to see them.
I
So
can
it's,
feel it. Like
yeah,
last night I was sitting outside and I've been going through some thought processes, right? With going through a separation and finalizing my divorce and all of that. And I was sitting
uh-huh.
outside and I was enjoying the pool had finally calmed down and I had a thought that wasn't, I will say, in alignment with who I am. And immediately I felt everything open up and it went, and I could feel it was
Cool.
like a hand came and slapped it. It slapped it out of my crown. Like literally, I felt it go boom. It was like, nope. But what was interesting was before we got on this call, I had a conversation with my mother. And that, if that thought wouldn't have been removed, that thought pattern wouldn't have been removed, that energy, this conversation that now I may be going on an amazing adventure, what wouldn't have lined up. So I am so on board with our guides and angels. When you recognize them and you thank them and you're grateful and you know that they're there,
Mm-hmm.
it is it supports you, for me, in my perspective, the confidence to allow my light to shine and to trust it fully. So when I walk into a room, I always say, I allow my light to enter before me
Mm,
so that
okay.
it fills up the space because I don't know what's happened in that hotel room, right?
Right.
You don't go in normal, well, your people don't generally enter into a hotel room or into a space thinking that something might have happened there and there's still energy, stagnant energy there.
Correct.
Yeah, so I that's been kind of one of the things that I've been working on instead of using all these different methods like you were saying, right? Like you pick one and you use it and
Uh-huh.
it works because you believe it.
Well, and because you're shifting the energy, it's not just that you believe it, that there are things such as sage, citronella candles, salt lamps, they shift the energy. I
Right.
mean, on a quantum physics level, you're
Yeah.
actually changing the environment.
Yeah. Do you believe that we have that ability within us as well to say that we can do it? How am I trying? What am I trying to say here? So I work in the quantum field a lot. That's what majority of where and silently behind the scenes.
Hmm.
I find that when I'm just focused on my energy, that I can, that's when I start perceiving things out that I like the projections outside, like spirits, what we call spirits and ghosts and all of that. Um, And it's usually if I put the candle out, if I
Mm-hmm.
take all my techniques and I put them aside, that's when I've started to feel that light in my heart come out and surround the area. And anything that is lingering outside the light, I can invite it in so that it can go to the light. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I could see where that could be a good way to go. The thing is that you have to, first of all, hold space with whatever you're doing,
Mm,
whether you're a person who meditates in the morning or whether you do moving meditation, going for walk. If your feelings and thoughts are in a different space, you're not going to be very effective at anything.
yeah, I completely agree because
So
that's
you
what,
have to get in the space where you're ready to do it and ready to receive the blessing of the space getting clear. Otherwise, if you go in, let's say, with a bunch of fear of, oh, shoot, I'm stuck with this thing,
yeah.
this is going to keep sticking around. You're stuck. So get into the place of, peaceful, I want to say almost like a peaceful surrender
Mm,
that you go, I can be in a different space. I can hold space for this to clear.
yeah.
And by the way, the couple that did the Ouija board for
Yeah.
weeks,
Yeah.
they opened a portal that was so deep that I've never seen so many ghosts in an apartment. They were in an
Mm.
apartment and there was hundreds. It was like they were having a party.
Oh my goodness.
And they were wall to wall, crowded with ghosts. And after I looked around at all the ghosts that they had let in, they were like, "Well, are you going to clear it?" I'm going, "No, I cannot clear 100 ghosts. That you have to move. You destroyed the place."
Oh goodness.
So sometimes you can clear, and sometimes if someone's, working with Ouija boards and black magic, no, it isn't going to clear. There's too much there. So I caution people, do not even think of it as a game or something you're experimenting with. That can get you in deep trouble.
Mm.
And so they not only left the apartment, they left the state. They had had so many bad experiences. They were like, we just want out of here. But
Mm.
they created that environment.
And that's very important what you just said, because you can create that in your environment by doing
Correct.
things that you do not understand or understand.
Right. So I caution people, do not start doing things you don't understand, just like you've been saying during our conversation. Don't mess with something you don't understand.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. It's just like you would not jump out of a airplane without it knowing how a parachute works, would you?
No,
Well, it's
I
kind
would
of equates to that.
I would not. I would not do that. I'm getting ready to start doing some traveling, and the airplane thing is like, I have to fly to the places, and then once I'm done traveling, I fly back home. And I'm like, I haven't been in a plane in a long time, so it's interesting and what's going on in the world.
Well, another thing I want to mention is cats can see ghosts and they pick up on them.
Mm,
So if you notice if you have a cat or cats, And you notice them meowing at something in thin air,
Hmm.
they're talking to a ghost.
Yeah. I had a dog, he was a white lab, and he was my alchemist. I mean, I would wake up and hear him downstairs growling
Mm,
and like moving back and forth and barking. And I would come down there and I would hold on to him. And then I would go through, like when I was going through the understanding of the different states of consciousness and how we can project energies and how we not to mess with certain things
uh-huh.
that you don't understand. Sometimes you
Right.
have to learn the hard way.
Correct.
Um, but he was that one for me that did that. So dogs can do it as well because Bronxy was like that black cat for me. He was that energy that was like, yo, mom,
Mhm.
let
Yeah,
me
absolutely.
come here.
Animals are more in tune than some people.
Uh, and when you learn to communicate with them, oh my gosh, when you can connect with the animal and learn to
Mhm.
to to feel to really like go beyond the physical of the animal, but to connect with them is
Uh-huh.
just and especially when you have one in your home that does what we're talking about, that will help transmute and alchemize the energy of spirit in certain instances, I will say, um, or lend their energy or their help. Um, it's it's pretty amazing. Pretty amazing.
Yes, and I also see animal ghosts sometimes. So sometimes when an animal just loves you so much that they don't want to leave, they can hang around as a spirit.
With the bed shaking, when I lived in Wilmington before I moved to Florida after Brock's passed, he had this thing when he was alive that he would, when he needed to go out to go to the bathroom or he was ready for me and his dad to get up, he would come in and he was 150 pounds. So he would
Uh-huh.
come in and hit the bed and the bed would shake. And it was a king size bed. And so he would come in and he would bang like on the foot of the bed, and then he would go over and bang on his dad's side. Or if his dad wasn't there, he would come over and bang on my side to wake me
Uh-huh.
up. And either he was just bored or he had to go out. Well, I noticed after he passed a couple times when I was really missing him, I felt that.
Oh yeah.
And his little sister, we had for 11 months after he passed, before she went. um, she would be on the bed and she would like react to it. And then I could just feel his love. Like I knew who it was. I knew what it was. It was not
Right.
a question, right? It was such an imprint of what he would do for 13 years. So
Yeah. So the thing
not
is,
all spirit is bad or needs to be distinguished. Like I would never want my animal. I don't know. I hold them in my heart and know that they're with me in spirit.
yeah, and that's the other thing is they can go back and forth just like people do. Sometimes the people that are a spirit in a place are there camping out, you could say. And other times they're just visiting and they're going to go back to where they were.
Okay. So can we go into that side of it? Can you have what have you come across? I guess this would reach into the mediumship part of it for you.
Well, for one thing, you said something earlier that really happens a lot when people are crossing over, and that is that if they want to say goodbye, they choose to say goodbye,
Mm-hmm.
they can make the lights in your house flicker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I've seen that a couple of times. Or like your phone rings, you go to pick it up and there's nobody there
Yeah.
because they're listening to you say hello, hello. They just want to hear your voice.
No. Yeah.
But I do at this moment want to share with you that there are
Okay.
also positive things about
Yes.
spirit.
Yeah.
So a woman came in to see me who, because I have my office, that people just come to. And she was 82 years old. And she said, you're a medium. Can you please talk to my deceased husband, David? I said, yeah, we can tune in. What is this about? And she said, well, just tune in and ask him if he's the one doing the work on the house. And the interesting thing was, yes, her husband who passed was concerned about her being an 82-year-old woman living alone who was now widowed, and he was still coming in to take care of things. In fact, it was so regular that it was really incredible. One time she came several times.
Hmm.
First time I said, yes, David's definitely the one working on your house. So when the lights are flickering, like you shared with me, that's him saying hello. Well, then another time she came in and she said, you won't believe what he just did. And he's been deceased for 3 years and he's still very active in my home. I said, oh, yeah, I'm tuned in. I see. He fixed your water heater so it stopped leaking. He really did. He did that for her. And she
Yeah.
said, oh, wow, you saw it already. I said, yeah, I'm tuned in. I can see he did that for you so you wouldn't have your house flooded with water. And
Oh,
now your water heater works fine, doesn't it? And she
yeah.
goes, yep, yep, he knew exactly what to do. And he did it for me from spirit instead of being alive. He still fixes things.
He's still got the to do, the honey-do list.
Yeah, and
He's still
she
carrying out
just
the honey-do list.
yeah, pretty amazing that
That is.
he keeps tabs on what's going on. He checks on
Mhm.
her. He makes sure there's no problems and he fixes it. He doesn't
Mhm.
just see it, he fixes it.
Isn't that so? That, that just makes you it, that really puts a lot of things in perspective. In, is it really paranormal or is it really normal for spirit to be
That's a good question.
to be with us?
Well, the
Uh,
thing I notice is there's we form heartstrings with people
mm,
where the energy cord is still connected heart to heart even when when one of the two people crosses over.
mm,
And the love is still there because the love is that some people have is eternal. Not everybody, but some people um get into a relationship where they form an eternal love. And I've heard so many experiences from people that are widows that absolutely proves that even when someone crosses over, they still can be in communication with you. And it's not the person's imagination, it's physically, there's evidence that they're still present.
yes.
So when you realize that, wow, love can be that strong
Mhm,
between two people, or even between a person and their animal,
mhm.
um, it gives you just really a new perspective, I think, on life, where we go from one dimension to another. We don't die.
Yeah.
Nobody really dies. Your
Yeah.
soul, you as a soul, are eternal.
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, that's really opened up their eyes to just how we're so magnificent,
Yeah.
that we're really born as an expression of love.
Mm-hmm.
And so when a spirit is creating havoc, let's say, in a house, well, that's someone who's feeling rather desperate
Or sad.
or extremely lonely.
Yeah. I know whenever I would go out and do it, and I don't do it I don't do it anymore. But I would find that the ones that were, um, well, I've classified some different ones, like the ones that have that build the energy up, that can throw stuff, pick stuff up, are poltergeists, have become poltergeist energetics.
Hmm.
And yeah, those are interesting. Um, and I lost my train of thought.
Well, I consider them domineering. I don't call them poltergeists. I just feel,
Sad.
at least the ones I've encountered, they're just very domineering and they want to take over.
Yeah. So that's where I was going. Like some of them, when you've got that consciousness and that energy that forms outside and creates those some of the energies that we're speaking about,
Uh-huh.
that can you that feeding of that that energy, is is a whole different ball game. But I have found that also some of the energies that are doing things in homes of this nature, like the woman that you crossed over, they may come off as malicious, or like they're doing something bad, but in reality, or in non-reality, they're sad. Like I've sat with some energies that are just like, I'm sad because here I am and this has happened to me, and now I'm
Mhm.
scared. And so now all I know to do is, you know, so it may come off as an inner, like the woman that you're talking about, you know, she didn't want to leave her
Right,
home because of her, she had her children there and all of that. So I've gone into places that the energy, will go woof, and it's like, oh, like it's gonna, like it fearful.
right.
But then when you go, hold on a minute, right? Back up. Let's talk about this. Like you did with the woman, you sat on the floor and you negotiated. I find
Right.
that some of those energies, when you do that, when you take the time that and sit with them, most of the time you find out that there's so much sadness that's within the spirit that is actually keeping them from entering into what we call the light.
Correct. And so it could be fear, it could be sadness, it could be just feeling lost, but
And maybe
you
not even
know,
when they're that they've passed. Some people I found that and I don't know if you've come across this as well. I'm just relating with you, that
uh-huh.
some energies, spirits, don't even know that they've died, or that they've moved out of the physical body, and they're like,
Well, I don't know if I've experienced that so much. I think they just feel they get to um, stay wherever they want and they're possessive.
hmm,
And you all know people even who are walking around now who are very territorial, who feel they own everybody and they own everything.
Mm,
We all know someone usually like that.
hmm.
Well, those people hang on to that even when they're no longer physically alive. That's their personality.
Yeah, they don't lose their personality when they leave the physical body.
Exactly. They're
Mm,
whoever they were when they were alive, they're still that person.
yeah. Mm,
So one of the things I have had the opportunity to converse about with people is that if you think you're going to change somebody, they will only change when they want to change.
yeah,
The only person we can change is ourselves.
yeah, yeah. I agree with that. I gave that up a long time ago.
Good. Because, I hear people say things like, "Oh, I wish my mother would become a nicer person," or "Why couldn't that guy love me the way I loved him?" Or, "If only da 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 da," and change when they
Oh,
want
there you go.
to. And passing away does not change them either.
Yeah.
I can go into a whole thing from my near death experience of what I see and have seen on the other side, which people have more success changing when they cross over.
Mm. Well,
It's possible for someone to learn things when they're on the other side.
I believe that that they can learn things while they're on the other side, from the lessons that they were here learning in
Exactly.
evolution.
Right.
Mm.
Yeah.
So,
So you can pray for them to have a peaceful learning and or even a learning that is appropriate for them. However, it's not up to us to bring it about.
yes, I have hands up on that one because
Yeah.
I was like, well, I just don't get it. I just don't get it. I just don't get it. And I was like beating your head against a brick wall. And finally, you just kind of have to go, you are who you are. And it's okay to be who you are.
Right. And even if at some point it doesn't feel okay, it's up to them, not you.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah. So some of the saddest medium sessions I've done, I've worked with a lot of people whose loved one committed suicide.
Mm,
And it's interesting because most of the time, when I talk to the person on the other side who committed suicide, they're sorry they hurt their loved ones that way.
yeah.
They apologize for bringing so much pain to people. Had they known that, they might have made a different choice. But I also have talked to a couple of suicide, um, I want to say people who committed suicide who said, no, I needed to leave. I'm not sorry at all.
Yeah. Yeah, I have an ex I was with for 10 years and he committed suicide a mile from my house, but he came to the house to shoot me first.
Oh my.
And then I wasn't there. I literally, it was a literally 5 minutes, a time frame of 5 minutes from me entering
Whoa.
my home to him a mile down the street from where I lived committing suicide.
Wow. That
And
must have been intense.
um it it was those were some intense years after that. Um I went to when I went to a psychic and he said the chandelier started blinking and going crazy because I wanted to find out if this particular person was still with me. And then the room got angry. And he said, Leave me alone. I'm playing my music. He was a DJ. We used to run nightclubs together.
Mm.
And he was like, "No, I belong here." Like he was still DJing. He was playing his music. But what was odd is like when I was pregnant with my daughter, and that happened within about 6 months of his passing, um, he would sit at the bottom. I could see him sitting at the bottom of the steps while I was big and pregnant, protecting the bottom of the steps so that when I came down the steps or went to the bathroom and it was dark, I could see him sitting at the bottom of the steps, like he was protecting me at that point.
Was he the father of your daughter?
No,
No.
but he was very upset that we did not. He thought it was his um issue not having children, but it was actually mine. I was told I would never have a child.
Mm.
And um right after departing from that relationship, the one that committed suicide, I met my daughter's father. And within 6 months, I was pregnant.
I see.
So that was interesting. And then in the beginning, before I went to this psychic and before I really, like, I've always had those, that intuition, that guidance of knowing that, something's not cohesive in my field or it is, right? Um,
Hmm.
it was like he was there protecting me. And then when I went to the psychic, it turned ugly.
Hmm.
And this would be 15 years after my daughter's birth.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that was a part of my awakening to or accepting my gifts and finally going, okay, right? Like I'll step into this,
Uh-huh.
because that it can be scary when you don't know what's going on and you don't understand what to do about it. You know that it's there. So what would if someone is in this situation,
Uh-huh.
right? What
Right.
would be a suggestion? Just contact a medium to come in and speak with them, find a shaman, or um, respectfully ask them to leave.
Yes, and definitely respectfully ask them to leave because first of all, there's a time and a season for everything. And if someone is deceased, they really need to be in the light
Mhm.
and not hanging around you. And that isn't really the best way for things to go. It's not good for the person who's deceased. Um, I mean, if they come in and they visit briefly, that's one thing. Like if they're
Right,
like, showing up to say, I still love you, that's one thing. But if they're hanging around out of not knowing what to do with themselves and not accepting that their time here on earth has basically come to a close, um, they're shortchanging themselves. Because being on the other side, I can tell you from my near death experience, it's a very loving experience and it's healing that happens in the process of being there that you won't get here.
yeah. Hmm. Do you
So,
be- do you believe everything is here, right now? I mean, like the realms of spirit and dimensions and everything is like you don't fly up in the sky. Like, what are your beliefs around that? As far as
Well,
spirit?
there's different dimensions that we go to. And you have a certain amount of time you're here on Earth. I believe Earth is a school, that we're spiritual beings inside a human body,
Mm-hmm.
which I call your Earth suit.
Mm-hmm.
And then when your time is coming to a close here, you go on to other things to learn and grow and experience.
So your academy that you teach, is it Invite to Insight? What is the name of your academy that you teach?
Well, invite to insight.com is my overall website. My
Okay.
school is the School of Arc Healing.
Okay. And do you teach your students how to transition spirit and energy?
Well, I teach them how they are connected to the divine, because
Okay.
we are all carrying divine energy inside of us, and how to work with your divinity,
Okay.
and have healing for yourself and be able to send it also to others. So
So
the
they gave me the
significance of that is,
terminology.
first of all, people need to know they're more powerful
Hmm.
and magnificent than they've ever been told as a child. Most people are not told um, how wonderful they are when they're growing up.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, so in the school, when in fact, I just had a woman graduate who, wow, went through a tremendous growth process, because when she came in, she said, I want to learn about being more intuitive. I want to become a healer that can help people. Um, can I get this from this school? And she progressed very quickly. She
Okay.
was she was very into it and very much studying all of the things I showed her she could do to be more in touch with that.
Okay. So you do teach that how to work with energy and to okay.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it's one-on-one mentoring, because we go deep into the study of who you are and who you can touch with your own personal energy and healing that you carry within. It wakes people up. I do
Yes.
one-on-one teaching because it's a process where people wake up to who they really are.
Okay. Okay.
And when you understand better how we come in as a person, and also how we grow and evolve,
Hmm.
it just helps you to go through life much more smoothly, at the same time to bless other people with what you have come to know.
So that's another podcast to
Yeah,
help.
because again, it would be nice if our educational system embraced more who you are and what you can do.
I agree.
However, most schools don't do that.
Yeah. But I think we're moving into those to that to that space now where people are now going, oh my, I've been carrying this and for so long that's not that I shouldn't have been carrying this whole time and learning about energy and how to, to use it
Uh-huh.
and how not to use it. Um and I do believe that we are in those um I'll say just times where the veil is gone and it's becoming more apparent that energy needs to be looked at.
Yes, well, there's how can I say this? There's a lot of misconceptions going around.
Okay.
And when people start to learn the truth, about who they really are and how they were born out of love to learn here and share love and good healing energy with each other. The world will also evolve, but most of the messages that people are receiving are really pretty negative, like you're a
Mhm.
sinner and you better hope you don't get punished when you
Yeah,
die. And,
that's
those kind of misconceptions that get spread around really hold people back from their own personal evolution.
yeah. And I think that's what I was trying to say is that it's important that people start seeing, now the truth,
Correct. and,
the
and
truth of
know more fully how we really are, and not some made up story about you're a powerless lowly creature,
right.
you know.
I do believe that there's either fear or love, and those are driving forces in this school that we're in on this earth, and it's I'm not diminishing the fact that we do exist and we are here, yet there we're so multi-layered and multifaceted, um God wrapped in skin, and not with a, well, let's not go there. um
are are you
we're
finding, by the way, that some people, when they experience their place being haunted, let's say, start to wake up that there's more to the
there,
fact that there's more going on in life than they maybe thought initially?
yes, and that's was the catalyst for me as well. Is I was like, what? Like, how do you? I had a lot of baggage I brought with me and didn't know it. And when you
Uh-huh.
wake up to it, and people are doing that, they're waking up to it. They're going, "Whoa, wait a minute. Reality is a little different than I thought, and
Right.
non-reality is the unseen, the presence is very different than what I thought, what I've been taught,
Right.
what
Because
I've been taught."
right. Most of us receive conditioning up through our seventh birthday that we never question. We just are innocents who believe everything that we've been told. And then you grow and you learn there's more to life than maybe what you've been told.
Hmm. Yes, I'm a believer.
Uh huh. So when we talk about places being haunted, I think in some ways it does some people a favor to understand that you don't just get put in the ground and that's it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
And so sometimes ghosts come in because they're wanting to get someone's attention and show them something.
Hmm. Um, one of the and one of the me and my daughter, we have a place here, and it is one of the most historic and apparently haunted graveyard cemeteries um, in Florida. And my daughter, for my birthday, the year in 2025, she took me on a haunted scavenger hunt. So we went to all the different places and went on a scavenger hunt. And so this
Uh-huh.
year she turned 25, and I said, "Well, what do you want to do?" And I said, "What do you want for your birthday?" And she says, "You know what I want to do." And I'm like, "What do you want to do?" And she goes, "I want to go back to where we took you for your birthday. And all I want is a cake. And I want to take some pictures on those beautiful stone steps in the very back." And when we got there, even the first time, when it was so peaceful. Like it was so the it was even the air when you were outside of the
Hmm.
gates smelled different than when you were inside the gates. You could
Interesting.
smell the flowers so much more vibrantly. You could smell the grass. You could the trees were vibrant. It was like peace that you couldn't imagine. And I
Hmm.
always go in to places like that with deep respect, um, and letting them know that I am there out of respect and love, um, and for the history of and what they've and honor their paths. Um,
Hmm.
and so we went and we took the pictures, and she just we just sat there and was in awe of the beauty, and you could feel um you could just feel the history
Hmm.
and the love that was there because of how you approach it. It's intention. It's how you
Hmm.
approach it.
Right.
So that's become one of our places that we like to go to when we really need some, besides, being at home, right? When the world gets really noisy,
Right.
we'll go there and take pictures and sit on the steps and feel that deep internal pulsing peace. And when we come out of there, it's like you put on, it just feels, there's places on this earth that just make you feel better, that
Good.
help your vibration, that help your vibration. I'll say it like that. You keep looking off to the side. I know you're tuned in because I'm definitely tuned in. Um, what are you seeing and hearing and feeling during our conversation?
Well, I'm just tuned into what you're saying. And one of the things that I want to say I noticed is yes, there are places that really have a healing vibe.
Mm-hmm.
And and you can't really put it into words or just
Yeah.
feel it. It's
Yeah.
very noticeable. Just you described it as well as I think it's ever been described.
Okay. Because it is
So
hard to put into words. It truly is.
yeah. And when you realize that different places have different energies, it also is why some places get haunted and others um, don't ever attract anything like that.
Yeah.
So some people tell me when they go to cemeteries, it feels very peaceful to them.
Yeah. Well,
That's totally possible.
well, in this one particular one, they have this statue, and it's called, and the name of the statue is called the Ugly Angel because it's deformed. The statue's deformed, and so they call it the Ugly Angel. So where did we go to first? We went straight to that, and we go, "You're beautiful,"
Mm.
and we put chocolates on there and said, there's nothing ugly about you. You are beautiful.
Aw.
So please know that we're here to honor the beauty that you are. And here's a treat. You know,
Cool.
and it all three of us were standing there, and you could it was like a wave of just gratitude.
Hmm.
It was a wave of gratitude. So I live by the intentions when you're going into certain areas, like haunted homes and haunted and places, historical places and stuff like that. Um, I always enter in my heart with gratitude and respect first, but I also
Hmm.
stand in my authority as well.
Good.
And I think that that needs to be taught. That if we need to teach something, that needs to be taught.
Yes. Hmm.
There's a way to start out in this without fear. Understanding the unseen realms and the unknown. Um, it can be done
Yeah.
without
And the
fear
thing
driving
is
that
to
person.
respect life in whatever stage it's at, because again, even those ghosts are, still who they are, and they're just continuing on in the form that they're at presently.
Yeah. Mm.
So,
So your website is invitetoinsight.com. If you'll pull your
correct.
sign that way just a little bit so everybody can see it a little bit,
Okay.
go that way. Nope, other way. Right there. There you go. Invitetoinsight.com. And there's Miss Mariel's phone number. Um, you guys can reach out to her there and go through her schooling. You can get readings from you, um, learn how to work with the art healing. Would you like to add? Would you put it into your words, is what I'm trying to say?
Well, I want to say you're saying it so well.
Oh, well,
I
thank
want to
you.
do one PS on that,
Yes,
and
please.
that is that being a medium, this is something not commonly discussed. So I just feel like I want to jump in and share this.
Yes,
Being
please.
a medium isn't just about tuning in with people who have crossed over.
Mm-mm.
A lot of people aren't aware that being a medium also enables me to tune in with loved ones that are still here
Mm.
so that you can have a greater understanding with them.
Yes.
And so while I'm not always called on for every haunted place in
Yeah.
Portland, Oregon,
Yeah.
uh, and there are a few haunted hotels in downtown Portland. I can tell you for
I
sure
bet.
that even management knows about it. Uh, the thing is that being a medium also brings a way to connect people together.
Yes.
And so I feel very grateful that I'm able to help in that way. And
Yes.
thank you for also bringing this wonderful podcast to people so they can have a greater understanding
Thank
and
you.
let go of the fear of having a ghost, but also be knowing that they can be cleared because they don't really belong in your space.
Mm. Yeah.
And when you realize that you're still connected heart to your loved ones, also know that connection can stay and you can allow it to continue even long after they've passed.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think everything needs to be um that we need to be stripped of clean of the love that we feel from our ones that have um just moved into a different state of being all the time. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And so, with greater understanding, also becomes more opportunities for working with it in a positive way.
absolutely. 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 Well, it has been wonderful speaking with you. Thank you
Thank
for
you,
coming
Hera.
on.
Uh-huh.
I love your insights and your methods and your techniques and how you work. And I invite everyone to please reach out to Miss Mariel and get in contact and set up an appointment with you and check out her website.
Thank you, Hera.
You're welcome.
And and please remember that love is eternal.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Did you have anything you would like to close out with before we end this podcast?
Well, I think that's it, really, because I want people to know that love doesn't just vanish, it
Right.
stays.
Yeah. Love is eternal.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate you being on the show again, and I look forward to having you back on again. We still have so much to explore within your experience here on this earth, in that being of yours.
Thanks, Sarah.
Oh my
Well, I'm
goodness.
still a student too, so I
Yes.
also like what you share in the podcast because that's also very valuable wisdom for people to hear as well.
Well, thank you for that. I appreciate that very much.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, we will catch up with you again soon. And thank you again for being on Ancient Voice Rising.
You're welcome.